The Book of Enoch, being a letter from Enoch to his daughter Hanukkah, including the revelation of Yana. Chapter 1, the 7 prayer stones in the Garden of Eden. To my blessed daughter Hanukkah, behold, the revelations of Yana. To Enoch the prophet, to be preserved by the guardians of the scrolls of the Zerah Nistar. In my 21st year, the night before I was consecrated to the office of high priest by Abraham and Sarah, I spent the night in the orchards at the center of the Garden of Eden, atop the holy mount. For that night I desired not sleep, but prayer and meditation. Yea, I walked to the center of the orchard, to the circle of 7 trees that formed the star of 6 points, which is the star of the beloved. And the circle of 7 trees is near the tree of life, where is atop the pinnacle above the orchard. For those who find the tree of life are those who pass through the star of the beloved. Behold, the star of 6 points, 2 mated triangles, one will point up and one will point down. And the top point is the crown of the Sephirot, which is the 7th, and the bottom point is the foundation stone, which is the first Sephirot. Yes, and at the center of the star is the heart of the Sephirot, which is the 4th. And the 2 arms of the star are the 6th and the 5th Sephirot. And the 2 legs of the star are the 2nd and 3rd Sephirot. And each Sephirot is the mating of a branch and a root of the tree of life. That's revealed in the Bahir Shabbathalam. Yea, I walked to the center of the orchard, which is the center of the Garden of Eden, and I stood before the circle of 7 trees. Behold, at the center of the circle is a gate with low arch. To enter this archway, one must bend low. Yea, the crown of the head must bow before the arch. For lo, only in humility may one enter the circle. And upon the arch is written the name Yahweh, YHWH. And the archway is the beginning of a pathway. And the pathway has a name, the Naserean path of the essence way. Bending low, I entered the circle of 7 trees. Behold, the 7 trees, 1 tree for each sephirah. In front of each tree is a large prayer stone, large enough to kneel upon. And upon each prayer stone is a jewel. And lo, each jewel is of a different sacred color. Behold, the colors of the jewels. The first prayer stone is for the first sephirah, and its jewel is the red pennim, which is a red ruby. The second prayer stone is for the second sephirah, and this jewel is an orange abne ikdak, which is a spessartine garnet orange like fire. The third prayer stone is for the third sephirah, and this jewel is a yellow pitta, which is a yellow quartz. The fourth prayer stone is for the fourth sephirah, and this jewel is a green nopek, which is a green emerald. The fifth prayer stone is for the fifth sephirah, and this jewel is a blue sapphire, which is a blue sapphire. The sixth prayer stone is for the sixth sephirah, and this jewel is a purple akalama, which is a purple amethyst. And the seventh prayer stone is for the seventh sapphire, and its jewel is a white kirach, which is a white crystal, translucent like ice. Behold, I kneel upon the first prayer stone, the stone with the red ruby. Then I chanted the sound of ecstasy for the mating of power with sun. This is not the mating of cherubim of power and sun, but the mating of actual forces of power and sun. For the cherubim of the tree of life are not the forces they serve, but are the guardians or of those forces. Yea, I chanted the sound of ecstasy for the mating of power and sun, and behold, the seal at the base of my spine was open, and I behold a treasure beneath the seal, the fruit of the mating of power and sun. Then lo, from atop the first tree, the tree before I kneeled on the first prayer stone, came the dove of Yah Yah, and she landed on my head, and in her beak was a piece of fruit. And standing behind the first prayer stone was the Lamb, and he spoke, saying, Taste the fruit the dove brings you, for you are worthy, having opened the first seal. I took the fruit, which was a juicy seed of a red pomegranate, and its taste was sweet. Then the dove flew on top of the second tree, and the Lamb said, Follow me. I followed the Lamb to the second prayer stone, the stone with the orange garnet. Then I chanted the sounds of ecstasy for the mating of the eternal life in soil. And behold, the seal at my genitals was open. And I held a treasure beneath the seal, the fruit of the mating of eternal life in soil. Then lo, from atop the second tree, before which I knelt on the second prayer stone, came the dove of Yahya, and she landed on my head, and in her beak was a piece of fruit. And the standing beside the second prayer stone was the Lamb, and he spoke, saying, Taste the fruit the dove brings you, for you are worthy, having opened that second seal. I took the fruit and orange citrus. Its taste was sweet. Then the dove flew on top of the third tree, and the Lamb said, Follow me. I followed the Lamb to the third prayer stone, and the stone with the yellow quartz. Then I chanted the sound of ecstasy for the mating of peace and joy. And behold, the seal at my stomach was open, and I beheld a treasure beneath the seal, the fruit of the mating of peace and joy. Then lo, from atop the third tree, the tree before which I knelt on the third prayer stone, came the dove of Yahya, and she landed on my head, and in her beak was a piece of fruit. And standing beside the third prayer stone was the Lamb, and he spoke, saying, Taste the fruit the dove brings you, for you are worthy, having opened the third seal. I took the fruit, a yellow quince. Its taste was sweet. Then the dove flew to the top of the fourth tree, and the Lamb said, Follow me. I followed the Lamb to the fourth prayer stone, the stone with the green emerald. Then I chanted the sound of ecstasy for the mating of love and water. And behold, the seal at my chest was open, and I beheld a treasure beneath the seal, the fruit of the mating of love and water. Then lo, from atop the fourth tree, the tree before I knelt on the prayer stone, came the dove of Yahya, and she landed on my head, and in her beak was a piece of fruit, and standing beside the fourth prayer stone was the Lamb. And he spoke, saying, Taste the fruit the dove brings you, for you are worthy. Having opened the fourth seal, I took the fruit, a green fig. Its taste was sweet. Then the dove flew on top of the fifth tree, and the lamb said, "Follow me." I followed the lamb to the fifth prayer stone, the stone with the blue sapphire. Then I chanted the sound of ecstasy for the mating of work and life. And behold, the seal at my throat was open, and I beheld a treasure beneath the seal, the fruit of the mating of work and life. Then lo, from atop the fifth tree, before I knelt on the fifth prayer stone, came the dove of Yahya, and she landed on my head, and in her beak was a piece of fruit. And standing beside the fifth prayer stone was the lamb. He was saying, "Taste the fruit the doves bring you, for you are worthy." Having opened the fifth seal, I took the fruit, a blueberry, and its taste was sweet. Then the dove flew on top of the sixth tree, and the lamb said, "Follow me." I followed the lamb to the sixth prayer stone, a stone with a purple amethyst. Then I chanted the sounds of ecstasy for the mating of wisdom and air, and behold, the seal at my forehead was open. And I beheld a treasure beneath the seal, the fruit of the mating of wisdom and air. Then lo, from atop the sixth tree, before which I knelt on the sixth prayer stone, came the dove of Yahya, and she landed on my head, and in her beak was a piece of fruit. And standing beside the sixth prayer stone was the lamb, and he spoke, saying, "Taste the fruit the dove bring you, for you are worthy of having opened the sixth seal. I took the fruit, a purple fig, and its taste was sweet. Then the dove flew on top of the seventh tree, and the lamb said, "Follow me." I followed the lamb to the seventh prayer stone, the stone with the white crystal. Then I chanted the sounds of ecstasy for the mating of the center branch and the center root, the branch of Yahweh and the root of Mother Earth. And behold, the seal at the top of my head was opened, and I beheld a treasure beneath the seal, the fruit of the mating of the seventh branch and the seventh root. Then lo, from atop the seventh tree came the dove of Yahya, and she landed on my head, and in her beak was a piece of fruit. And standing beside the seventh prayer stone was the lamb, and he spoke, saying, "Taste the fruit the dove brings you, for you are worthy, having opened the seventh seal." I took the fruit, a white grape, and its taste was sweet. Behold, with my inner ears I heard the sound of a drum beat, which sound like unto a heartbeat. And I listened to that drum beat, for I knew it was the heartbeat of the Lord and Lady. And lo, as I listened to the drum beat, it asked me a question: Who will go? Who will go? And I perceived the meaning of the question, for all of my seals have been opened. The question meant, who will be the hands and feet of the Lord and Lady? It meant, who will raise up the children of the fall? It meant, who will help? Yea, it meant, who, having attained the right to live in the heavenly realm, where there is neither violence nor discord, will give up that right in order to serve in a fallen world. I answered, "I will serve." Then the dove flew above my head, and the lamb said, "Follow her." I said to the lamb, "I cannot fly. How can I follow her?" The lamb replied, "Leave your dense body here in the garden. Follow the dove into the heavens. For behold, she shall show you a vision of things to come." Yea, she will show you things that have been, things that will be, and things that might be. Lo, you cannot change what has been, neither can you change what will be. But you may indeed change for the better that which might be. And I tell you truly, holy Enoch, you can fly, for the crown at the top of your head is also a doorway. Yea, it is the doorway into your dense body, and also the doorway out. Open the door and fly up to the great dove.